Hello again, this is Steve for LessonsOnlineTV, and this is the continuation of the previous video concerning the Greek alphabet. Okay, so in the Greek alphabet we have a few words, a few letters, 24, and there I said something about diphthongs at the end of the video. I wiped the board clean, and I'll just show you what diphthongs are. I showed you these letters before. Okay, E, 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 E. So the complication with these letters is that they actually sound the same. Now, you can actually not mind with these a lot, but we're gonna use that later. Diphthongs are what? Okay, this is what diphthongs are. You take two letters and put them next to each other. And when you see them in such a succession, they're next to each other in the correct order, then a new sound comes up. If you take omicron and add iota, this is pronounced E. This might sound retarded, but that's exactly the way we use it. Like, the same thing with epsilon, and you add E. You actually write these together, but this sounds like E. This also sounds like E. Okay? This is kind of hard. No, it's not kind of hard. It is hard. Because you never know what I really mean. If I actually take omicron and add it with E, this is U. I don't really know how to describe it, but this is the way we say U. The sound U exists in Greek, but the letter U does not. This is like, it's not U. Like, U has kind of a nasal feeling to it. U. It's like U. It's very throat based. U. There are a lot of these things create a lot of complications, because if you take this column now, okay, I can add more E. Okay, so if I actually, as I told you before, write τίποτα, now it gets a lot harder to understand what kind of τίποτα I'm saying. It could be τίποτα, it could be τίποτα, it could be τίποτα, be τίποτα. Okay, these are all τίποτα. This is meant to be EI, okay, epsilon iota. So this is the hard part of the Greek alphabet. You gotta pay attention. It's not really that hard if you get used to it, with everything. You just need to use the Greek language. As I said in the first video, you gotta find people to write and speak Greek with. There are not really a lot more diphthongs. There are a few, like, if you actually take alpha and epsilon together, these together give av. So it's like the same with of, but it all depends on their position. If I take alpha and epsilon again, they will be written this way, but they can also be pronounced of. The trick is, now this is a rule, this is like grammar. You don't really need to memorize it. You should, if you want to be serious about it, but you're going to get used to it when you use it. Let's say we have the word, this letter, this word. This means egg, okay? In this case, I'm going to pronounce this like αυγό, okay? Some people actually write this. I think this is wrong. I think maybe in modern spelling it could be accepted, but in correct Greek, this is the right way to write it, and it's pronounced like that. But the trick is that if the letter, this is X, like this is the missing X that you need to find. If this letter makes any sound with your throat, then you're actually going to say v, okay? Like αυγό, g. If it doesn't, then you can actually do it with only your tongue or your teeth. You're going to say of. For example, now this is the first word that comes to mind, which is literally similar. Αυτό, Okay, I'm not using my throat. Okay, this is called a voiceless consonant and a voiced consonant. If you want to look it up. Αυτό. Okay, so this is why I actually say this of instead of. If I say αυγό, this is retarded. I don't know, it means nothing. Αυτό, it means that. Okay, that thing, this and that are somewhat different compared to English. But that's what it means. It means this, that. Okay, I'm pointing at something and I say αυτό. Okay, αυτό, not αυγό. And the other set of diphthongs is this one, which is exactly in the same, they behave exactly the same as these ones, okay? That's why I said them in this kind of succession. It can mean both, okay? If you actually take, for example, ευτυχία, okay? This is h, okay? I said that already in the previous video. This one is, in fact, voiceless. So, ευτυχία, that's the way you would pronounce it. Now, if you see this actually is by one letter 7. You don't really want that, okay? So, if you actually take a word like this, ευλογία, this is ev, because it uses, like, it makes noise from your throat. ευλογία. That's the logic behind it. That's all you need to know when it comes to diphthongs. And you must keep in mind that these are also E. Okay? Now, just to finish up, Greek script, not just the alphabet, okay? Greek script generally, how you use it. Greek has a different question mark from English and many other languages. What you use as a semicolon is actually the question mark, okay? So this is Greek, this is foreign, because it's not only English. This is meant to be a G, not a Q. Okay, a full stop is a full stop, okay, yeah. That's not so hard. In order to actually simulate the function of a semicolon in Greek, we use a so-called upper dot, okay? Instead of the dot being there, let's say I have a letter, okay? This is like something that ends in A. This is period. Okay, this is a full stop. This is a semicolon. This can only be done in actual handwriting. I don't know how to do it. Even as a Greek, I don't know how to do it on my keyboard. It's got to be done somehow, but I have no idea how. It's exactly the same thing as the semicolon. And, as you might have noticed, I accentuate words. We all do. Like in English, you still do that. But you don't really realize it. Like you say, evening, okay? If you could accentuate it somewhere, where would you put it? Where the accent actually is. Like, evening. Evening. This is where it is. Like, hi. No, this is hard because it's like the accent is somehow in the H2. Afternoon, okay? As I said before. The accent is somewhere in there, okay? So in Greek, I said these before in the previous lessons. Kalimera, kalispera, kalinihta, for example. We accentuate these, like in Greek script. I will do that in a second. At the specific point where you actually say it louder. Kalimera, mera, mera, kalispera, kalinihta. Okay, at the I. And in Greek script, using the Greek alphabet, these are actually written kalimera, kalispera, and kalinihta. Now, in this case, you actually see how important knowing which E to use is. Like, E, they are next to each other. But you still gotta use the right one. So, kalimera, kalispera, kalinihta. Full stop. Whatever. And that's just about it. Now you know everything you need to know about Greek script. That's exactly the philosophy behind it, the reasoning, how do you say it, the intuition behind it. You always put the accent where the sound is more, how do you say it, it's higher pitched, it's got higher volume. So, other examples, I said before, αυγό, because g is throat based, just trying to revise here. αυγό, okay? Αυτό. I said before, like, καλό απόγευμα. Καλό απόγευμα. Απόγευμα. So, in Greek, you can never really be wrong about where you accentuate. It's pretty specific. Exactly. Where you hear the accent, that's exactly where you're going to put it. The only complication, which is not really that hard to remember, is that when you accentuate a diphthong, you put it on the second letter. Okay? Like, if you have U, then the accent goes there. I, I didn't say that one. Yeah. A and I, and alpha and iota give an sound. Okay, that's it. And I, U, I, this is also like I. You just put in the second letter because if you actually put the accent on the first, it's like you're breaking up the diphthong. You say oi, I, oi, okay? There can usually be only one accent. If there is not, it's probably in such a word like, I can't describe it now, but it shouldn't bother you. I mean, a lot of people don't even know that you should use two accents in a word. Just never mind it. So this concludes the alphabet lesson. I think you have more than enough to actually learn Greek. So I'm just gonna say the alphabet quickly once, okay? Alpha, β, γ, δ, ε, ζ, η, θ, ι, κ, λάμδα, μ, ν, ξ, όμικρον, π, ρ, σ, τ, υ, φ, χ, ψ, ω. These are the actual names, and you can check the previous video to see how they are actually pronounced, like each letter. So in the next video, I'm going to write down the verb I am and I have, the core verbs of any language. With am and have, you can actually form other tenses the same way you do it in English, like I have done, I have read, and so on. I had read. You use have in Greek too. So you're going to need that to actually say a lot of things. And in the next lesson, like after that, it's going to be numbers, because you always need numbers. So, okay, I'll see you in the